Once again, brothers and sisters, it's good to be with you on what they call Tuesday evening. I'm your host, the Apostle Reuben of IUPR Bible Radio, podcasting out of Little Rock, Arkansas, to the true saints of the Most High God. Brothers and sisters, when it comes to Edom, from the past until now, Esau has always thought of ways to escape judgment. That is what he does. He thinks of ways to escape judgment. And one of the ways is to make up certain types of doctrine to deceive the masses. Now, as we go into this episode, I'm going to just let you know right now, Satan getting kicked out of heaven with a third of the angels is a heresy. It's a fictitious doctrine. And we're going to prove it. Now we're going to start in Revelation 12:3 and then read verse 4. And then we're going to drop down to verse 7 because I got to go through this. I got to come back to Revelation and so you can see it clearly. So Revelation 12:3. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon. Now, we're telling you, brothers and sisters, this red dragon is not the devil. That's the spirit. Let me say it like that. This red dragon is Esau. The Bible calls, let me make you understand this again. The book of Jeremiah. See, anybody that knows the Bible knows that if it's called a red dragon, it's red power. But I want to go, because see, again, these are parables. I'm going to read this real quick. Jeremiah 51:33. For thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, the daughter of Babylon, Psalms 137. Psalms 137. See, they try to do things without the Old Testament. The prophets are using the Old Testament in Proverbs to write their letters. It never changed. Psalms 137:7. Remember, O Lord, the children of Edom in the day of Jerusalem, who said, raise it, even to the foundation thereof. So, remember, O Lord, the children of Edom, Esau, the children of Edom, the children of Edom. Once again, brothers and sisters, classic biblical baby names. These people know. Of interest, according to the commentaries on Hebrew scripture, Esau is considered a significant character in world history and the forefather of the Roman Empire. As they know it. Esau, Edom, is the forefather of the white man. Well, I should say the Romans, right? They know, you know who the Romans are. Now, wait a minute. Let's go back. Psalms 137:7. Remember, O Lord, the children of Edom, in the day of Jerusalem, who said, raise it, even to the foundation thereof. O daughter of Babylon, who art to be destroyed. So Edom, Esau, the Romans, are the daughter of Babylon. Esau, the daughter of Babylon. Oh, remember, O Lord, the children of Edom. Okay, Genesis 36. Verse 8, real quick. Thus dwelt Esau in Mount Seir. Esau is Edom. Esau is Edom. So, Psalms 137. Verse 7. Remember, O Lord, the children of Edom in the day of Jerusalem, who said, raise it, even to the foundation thereof. O daughter of Babylon. So Edom, Esau, is the daughter of Babylon. I want y'all to remember that Esau is the daughter of Babylon, who are to be destroyed. Happy shall he be that rewardeth thee as thou hast served us, as you have done us, the Israelites. So the daughter of Babylon is Esau. So let's go back to Jeremiah. Jeremiah 51. We're going to drop down and we're going to read verse 33 and 34. It says this: For thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, the daughter of Babylon, which is Esau, is like a threshing floor. It is time to thresh her. Yet a little while, and the time of her harvest shall come. Oh, yes. Nebuchadnezzar, the daughter of Babylon, is called the new Nebuchadnezzar. The king of Babylon has devoured me and crushed me. He hath made me an empty vessel. He has swallowed me up like a dragon. So, again, the daughter of Babylon was called a dragon in the Old Testament. Dragon. A power was called a dragon. Not the spirit, not an evil spirit from God. The dragon was the daughter of Babylon in verse 33. So when he says, thou hast swallowed me up like a dragon, and hath filled his belly with my delicates, he hath cast me out. So the daughter of Babylon was called a dragon in Jeremiah 51, 33, and 34. This is new. Edom was called a dragon before. Dragon now. So when we come back here to Revelation 12, verse 3. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, the great red dragon. See, red dragon. What was, wait a minute. Are we, now, Compact Bible Dictionary, Edom, Edomites, red. The nation and its people who were the descendants of Esau. Notice it says red. So Edom was red. Edom was red. So when we go back up. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon. This is the kingdom of Edom. He sees. He's calling them red dragon. You even know it's red dragon. There's nothing they can do about this, brothers and sisters. Esau was called a dragon before in the Old Testament. Now, John is citing red dragon. He's letting you know who this power is. Having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns upon his head. Time periods of rulership. So now you see the dragon. The dragon is Edom. But let's drop down. Look at this. I just want to drop down to verse 7 because we're going into it. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon. The dragon is the red dragon, Esau. And the dragon fought with his angels. His angels is his warriors. John is just calling them angels as a similitude. The warriors of the dragon, he notes as angels. Pay attention. And prevailed not, neither was there, and prevailed not, neither was their place found any more in heaven. We're going to go over that. And the great dragon, that great dragon was Edom, red dragon, was cast out, the old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. A nation deceives the whole world, not a spirit. Even though the spirit is in that people to deceive. And his angels were cast out with him. And we're going to go back over this. But what I want to do is I want you to see. Because they say this is when Satan was kicked out of heaven with 1/3 of the angels. Now, what we're going to do now is we're going to go to Isaiah 45. Because, brothers and sisters, they can call it what they want, but we just want to clear up some things before we go back into Revelation. We just want some things cleared up. So I want to go to Isaiah 45 and 7. I want you to pay attention. God writes, I form the light. I create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things. So the Lord forms the light. He creates darkness. He makes peace. and he creates evil. Let's look at the light, darkness, peace, and evil. We're just going to go over one verse at a time. The light. Proverbs. When he formed the light, what did he form? Proverbs 6, verse 23. Let's take a look at the light. Proverbs 6:23. For the commandment is a lamp and the law is light. That's what light is. The law is light. And reproofs of instruction are the way of life. I want you to understand. The law is light. When God says, I formed the light, he formed the law. The law was light. Christians don't want to read that to you, but the law is light. That's why it says in Isaiah 8:20. I make sure I cover my ground, brothers and sisters, with at least 2 or 3 witnesses. Not just 1, 2 or 3. I could do 1, but I like to do 2 or 3. That's why the Bible says, to the law and to the testimony. To the law and to the testimony. If they speak not according to this word, which is the law and the testimony, it is because there is no light in them. Why? Because the law is light. The law is light. And when they don't speak according to the law, there is no light in them. Darkness. When you don't teach the law, you're a dark pastor. Your pastor that avoids teaching the law has no light in him. He's a pastor in darkness. So let's look at the darkness. Again, Psalms 69. Real quick, Psalm 69, just to set it up. Psalm 69 and 5. It says, O God, thou knowest my foolishness, and my sins are not hid from thee. You know, brothers and sisters, foolishness and sins is the same. A fool is a sinner. O God, thou knowest my foolishness, me being a fool, and my sins are not hid from thee. My sins. I want you to see this. Proverbs 24 and 9. Proverbs 24. Just to make you see this right clear. Proverbs 24 and 9. Right and clear. The thought of foolishness is sin. So any fool is a sinner. Or a sinner is a fool. Whichever one you want to say. And a scorner is an abomination to men. So when we look at the fool, he's a sinner. So Ecclesiastes, real quick, so you got to go into, in order to understand the parables, you got to go to parables. Ecclesiastes 2, verse 14, once again, the wise man's eyes are in his head, but a fool, which is a sinner, walketh in darkness. That's who's in darkness, sinners. See, God knows when you look at the parables, match them. The wise keep the law, the fool is in sin. I myself perceive also that one event happeneth to them all, which is death. So whether you're wise or a sinner, as a fool, you're going to die. That's what Solomon is saying. But one's going to be good and the other's not. So I want you to see light is law, darkness is sin. Now let's look at Psalms 119, verse 165. Let's look at this peace. Psalms 119, verse 165, David writes, great peace have they which love thy law. Nothing shall offend them. Great peace have they which love thy law. So the peace comes out of the law. That's where peace came from. And even, Malachi 2, verse 5. Let's go up to verse 4. And you shall know that I have sent this commandment unto you, that my covenant might be with Levi, saith the Lord of hosts. My covenant, which is my law, was with him of life and peace. See what peace came from? The law. My covenant, which is my law, was with him of life and peace. I gave them to him for the fear wherewith he feared me, and was afraid before my name. peace comes with the law, the covenant. So when we go when we go to verses like Isaiah, 57, I would say, and just the last verse, just to go to it. We'll start in verse 20. It says, "But the wicked are like a troubled sea, when it cannot rest, whose waters cast up mire and dirt. There is no peace, saith my God, to the wicked. There is no peace. There is no peace. No peace, saith my God, to the wicked." The wicked doesn't have peace. There's no peace with the wicked. And who are the wicked? There's no peace with the wicked now. Let's get this. I want to do this one first. We're looking at the verses now. Who are the wicked? Psalms 119, verse 53. It says, "Horror has taken hold upon me because of the wicked that forsake thy law." See, the wicked are those that forsake the law. There's no peace with those that forsake the law according to the Bible. And it's not. You think this is a so-called Christian nation, a nation of Christ. No, there's wickedness here, and there's no peace. That's why we pick it: no justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. Because our people still think that they're going to get peace out of a place where there's no law. They're dreaming. So when I go back to Isaiah 45 and 7, Isaiah 45. Verse 7. "I form the light, the law, and create darkness." That's sin. "I make peace." I make peace, which comes from the law, and create evil. I created evil. I did. I, the Lord, do all these things. Now, I created evil. Now, what is evil? Proverbs chapter 13. You got to show them what it is. Proverbs 13:21. "Evil pursueth sinners." See, evil is with sinners. Anything that has anything to do with sinners would be evil. And any evil would involve sinners all the time. But unto the righteous, see, the righteous don't do evil. The sinners do evil. So now you can see, when he says, "I make peace and evil," the law keepers will be in his peace and the sinners will be in evil. So once again, Isaiah, just to read it one more time. Isaiah 45, verse 7. God says, "I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, the Lord, doeth all these things." So I, the Lord, do all these things. But I want you to take a look at the evil for a second. Evil. Evil. I want to go to Psalm 78. Because these Christians, man, I tell you, Psalm 78. Now, what we're going to start, I'm just going to give you what it's talking about. Psalm 78, verse 43. Real quick. It says, "How he had wrought his signs in Egypt and his wonders in the field of Zoan." So this is the scene in Egypt. But I want to drop down to verse 49 because I didn't want this to be a long podcast episode. Watch this. Now he's talking about the scene in Egypt. He cast upon them, the Egyptians, the fierceness of his anger, wrath and indignation and trouble, by sending evil angels among them. Who sent the evil angels among the Egyptians? Now the evil angels were the controllers of the plague. Each plague that happened to the Egyptians was done by an evil angel. Notice, God sent evil angels among them. Evil angels are devils. Looks like God is controlling devils to me. See, God is all powerful, all knowing, omnipotent. It didn't say the devil sent evil angels. It says he did. He sent evil angels. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at this multiple times in the Bible. I want to go to the book of 1 Samuel. Now, when we go here, 1 Samuel 16, verse 1. Now, I'm just going to read this to set you up. 1 Samuel 16:1, and the Lord said unto Samuel, how long wilt thou mourn for Saul? How long are you going to keep on crying for this king? Man, you've been in here crying, trying to pray. He ain't made one attempt to pray unto me, but you doing it for me. No. Again, and the Lord said unto Samuel, how long wilt thou mourn for Saul, seeing I have rejected him from reigning over Israel? Fill thine horn with oil and go. I will send thee to Jesse, the Bethlehemite. So Jesse was a Bethlehemite. For I have provided me a king among his sons, which was going to be David. So I want to drop down to verse 13. Because Samuel did exactly what he said. Verse 13. Then Samuel took the horn of oil and anointed him in the midst of his brethren. And the Spirit of the Lord came upon David from that day forward. So Samuel arose and went up and went to Ramah. So he got up when he anointed David and went to Ramah. But the Spirit of the Lord departed from Saul. See, when the Spirit of the Lord went upon David, it departed from Saul. God took his Holy Spirit from Saul, and an evil spirit from the Lord troubled him. Did you see that? The Bible says, and an evil spirit from the Lord troubled him. Brothers and sisters, God is controlling these evil spirits. Now, another word you would call an evil spirit is a devil. God sent the devil or a devil to Saul. Doesn't look like any resistance to me from devils. They're doing exactly what God said. Let's go to another verse. Let's go to another verse. 1 Samuel 16:22. And Saul sent to Jesse, saying, let David, I pray thee, stand before me, for he hath found favor in my sight. And it came to pass, when the evil spirit from God was upon Saul, that David took an harp and played with his hand. So Saul was refreshed and was well, and the evil spirit, which is the devil, departed from Saul. When David played the harp, the evil spirit come off of Saul, relaxed him, because God sent an evil spirit to trouble him. He sent it, like it says in Psalm 78:49, by sending good and evil angels. Now, 1 Samuel 18:10. Just showing you a few verses. We're going to be done here in a minute. We're going to be done. Look at this. 1 Samuel 18:7. And the women answered one another as they played and said, Saul hath slain his thousands, and David his 10,000s. Look at this. And Saul was very wroth, and the saying displeased him. And he said, they have ascribed unto David 10,000s, and to me they have ascribed but thousands. And what can he have more but the kingdom? So what can he have more but the kingdom? He started to get jealous. He started to get envy David. And Saul eyed David from that day and forward. And it came to pass on the morrow that an evil spirit from God came upon Saul. Again, God sent a devil into Saul. I hope you see what you're reading, brothers and sisters. It looks like God's controlling devils to me. Controlling them. He sent the evil spirit into Saul again to trouble him. God took his favor away from Saul, and he started to plague him with evil angels. A spirit is an angel. And he prophesied in the midst of the house, and David played with his hand, as at other times. And there was a javelin in Saul's hand. So Saul, when David was playing, that evil spirit was on him. Look what he did. And Saul cast the javelin, for he said, I will smite David, even to the wall with it. And David avoided out of his presence twice. Now, here's what I'm going to tell you, brothers and sisters, because I know some people, they don't listen. Well, why did God do this? The reason why God sent evil spirits to Saul is because he disobeyed him. He let the people influence him to bring sacrifices to offer to God. But God wanted the Amalekites, whether it was man or woman, baby or suckling, their sheep and cattle to be killed and left where it was. He didn't want anything from them. But Saul let the people influence him to take the spoil. And that was breaking his commandment. And ever since then, he plagued him. God plagued him with evil spirits. You can't disobey God and think he's going to have favor for you. He didn't have favor for Saul after he disobeyed him. So let's look at this. 1 Samuel 18:11. And Saul cast the javelin, for he said, I will smite David, even to the wall with it. And David avoided out of his presence twice. Twice. Now again, when we go to the next chapter, 1 Samuel 19:8. And there was war again, and David went out and fought with the Philistines, and slew them with a great slaughter, and they fled from him. And the evil spirit from the Lord was upon Saul. Over and over. The evil spirit was sent by the Lord. Over and over. The evil spirit was not sent by the devil. He was sent by the Lord. Lord controls evil angels. Evil angels. And I'm going to show you who else he controls. Pay attention. And an evil spirit from the Lord was upon Saul, and he sat in his house with his javelin. He got the javelin again in his hand, and David played with his hand. David again continues to come back to try to play this harp to relieve his spirit. And Saul sought to smite David even to the wall with the javelin, but he slipped away out of Saul's presence. And he smote the javelin into the wall, and David fled and escaped that night. So over and over, David comes to try to play the harp to Saul, and it doesn't work. It used to work before, but now the spirit has gotten into him more, and now it doesn't help anymore. But notice, brothers and sisters, God sends these devils into men, into Saul. Satan didn't send them, God did. I want you to understand what I'm teaching you now, what I'm reading to you now. So we see 4 verses where an evil spirit from the Lord was upon Saul. Same story of how you would think of it. I'm just showing you an evil spirit was upon Saul. Now I want to go to 2 Samuel. Now David, well, I would say Israel has sinned, but David got blamed for it. I'm not going to go through the whole story. I'm just going to let's see. I'm just going to do this. How do I want to start this? Because I think David numbered the people of Israel. and that was a law that they should never number the people. So God is going to sentence David to a punishment. Now, here's where we're going to pick it up at. Verse 11. For when David was up in the morning, the word of the Lord came unto the prophet Gad, David's seer. Go and say unto David, thus saith the Lord, I have offered thee 3 things. Choose thee one of them, that I may do it unto thee. I'm going to get you, David, for numbering the children of Israel. All right. So Gad came to David and told him, and said unto him, shall 7 years of famine come into thee in thy land? 7 years of famine, or wilt thou flee 3 months before thine enemies, while they pursue thee, come after you, or that there be 3 days pestilence in the land? Now advise, and see what answer I shall return to him that sent me. So David's got to do, he's got to figure out what he's going to get. 7 years of famine, no food, 3 months of being chased by his enemies, or 3 days of pestilence. Watch now. And David said unto Gad, I am in a great strait. Let us fall now into the hand of the Lord, for his mercies are great, and let me not fall into the hand of man. So David decides to take the punishment from God. So let's look at this. And the Lord sent a pestilence upon Israel, a pestilence from the morning even to the time appointed. 3 days. And there died of the people from Dan even to Beersheba 70,000 men. This pestilence is going to be described in verse 16. I want you to pay attention. And when the angel, there's the pestilence. The angel was the pestilence in verse 15. Watch this. And when the angel stretched out his hand upon Jerusalem to destroy it, the Lord repented him of his evil. Evil. The Lord repented of his evil and said to the angel that destroyed the people, it is enough. Stay now thine hand. Stop killing them. And the angel did it. And the angel of the Lord was by the threshing place of Aruna, the Jebusite. So God told the angel of the Lord to stop killing, and he did. He did. Angels killed at the order of the Lord. So what type of angel was that? An evil one. Another devil. God's controlling these devils. Look at this. 1 Kings. '22. We're going to start here now. I'm working you up to speed. This is Ahab and Jehoshaphat. Now, there's this prophet called Micaiah, and he's been put in prison, fed with the bread of affliction, the water of affliction, because he doesn't prophesy anything good unto Ahab. So Jehoshaphat has come to see Ahab, sit with him, and he's talking to Jehoshaphat about getting Ramoth Gilead with his help. So we're going to pick it up. We're not going to go there, but we're going to pick it up in 1 Kings 22:18, because God has something to say about Ahab. Now Ahab, my goodness, he was a king that was weak, and Jezebel was really just controlling him. I'm just going to say it like that. But here it is. 1 Kings 22:18. And the king of Israel said unto Jehoshaphat, did I not tell thee that he would prophesy no good concerning me, but evil, but bad things? Now, Micaiah is going to continue talking. I want you to pay attention to what he says. And he says, hear thou therefore the word of the Lord. I saw the Lord sitting on his throne, and all the host of heaven standing by him on his right hand and on his left. The host were the angels. He had angels on the right and on the left. Both sides, surrounding his throne. Angels. Heavenly hosts. Now watch it. Look at this. And the Lord said, who shall persuade Ahab that he may go up and fall at Ramoth Gilead? Fall is die. So God's telling these angels, who's going to go persuade him? Who's going to go down and persuade him to go up there? Because he's not going to, I'm going to make sure he doesn't listen to Micaiah. I'm going to make sure he listens to his own false prophets. But pay attention. And the Lord said, who shall persuade Ahab that he may go up and fall at Ramoth Gilead? And one, now these are the angels, said on this manner, and the other said on that manner. And there came forth a spirit, an angel, and stood before the Lord, came right and stood before his throne, and said, I will persuade him. I'll go down there and do it. I'll go do it. An angel now. An angel. Watch what this angel says. And the Lord said unto him, wherewith? And he said, I will go forth, and I will be a lying spirit in the mouth of all his prophets. So one angel is going to go down, and he's going to control all the prophets of Ahab with a lying tongue. That's evil. And the Lord said unto him, wherewith? He asked him. And he said, I will go forth, and I will be a lying spirit in the mouth of all his prophets. And he said, thou shalt persuade him, and prevail also. Go forth and do so. Look at this. Now therefore, behold, the Lord hath put a lying spirit in the mouth of all thy prophets, and the Lord hath spoken evil concerning thee. Look at that. The Lord put the lying spirit, which was a devil, in the mouth of his prophets. Brothers and sisters, you consistently see that the Lord controls evil spirits. We're not going to read. Are we going to read about one rebelling? We'll see. We'll see if we read about when they rebel. Because, again, if it doesn't say it in the Old Testament, no, doesn't mean it in the New either. I want to go to the book of Amos. Amos 3 and verse 6 and 7. Amos 3 and 6. Shall a trumpet be blown in the city, and the people not be afraid? Shall there be evil in a city, and the Lord hath not done it? See there? Shall there be evil in a city, and the Lord hath not done it? Now, I say evil is sin, but the Lord, he has never sinned. The Lord in the law mentions disobedience comes with a price. The Lord hath never committed evil unless his commandment was broken. Now, we already know, if anybody knows the story about Ahab, Ahab did kill, I think, Naboth of who had the vineyard beside him. He committed sin. Ahab committed sin, and plus he let his wife Jezebel control him. That was even worse. But look at this. When evil is put upon us, it is because we committed evil against him. And his evil is what he put in his law, what would happen if we sinned. It isn't that God is a sinner. No, he's not. But in the law, he would commit evil against Israel if they sinned. That's law. And here it is. Deuteronomy 31. Watch this. Deuteronomy. Because I know people be like, well, what law? What law? I mean, where is it? Because I need that part. Because Deuteronomy 31. We read it yesterday. Deuteronomy 31:17. Well, we'll go up to verse 16. And the Lord said unto Moses, Behold, thou shalt sleep with thy fathers, and this people will rise up and go a-whoring after the gods of the strangers of the land. See, whether they go to be among them, I will forsake them and break my covenant which I made with them. I'm going to break it if they go after other gods, which is commandment 1 of the 10. Then my anger shall be kindled against them in that day, and I will forsake them, and I will hide my face from them, and they shall be devoured, and many evils and troubles shall befall them. See there? If they break my covenant and go serve other gods, evils shall befall them. What are those evils? Though 9 times out of 10, brothers and sisters, those evils are going to be committed by angels as pestilence. Or they will be sent into people, like it wasn't to Saul. God sent Saul an evil angel because he broke the law. So evil angels will take over the mind of people. That's why it says in Psalms. Now we're going to come back here. That's why it says in Psalms 109. Psalms 109, verse 6. That's why he writes, Set thou a wicked man over him, and let Satan stand at his right hand. See, Satan stands at the right hand of a sinner, wicked man. Always remember that, brothers and sisters. Psalms 109, verse 6. Satan is at the right hand of the wicked. Satan is at the right hand of the wicked. Satan is at the right hand of the wicked. Again, Proverbs 10:16. I'm going to show you who the wicked are. Proverbs 10:16. The labor of the righteous tendeth to life, the fruit of the wicked to sin. So the works of the wicked is sin. Easy. The works of the wicked is sin. So when we go back to Deuteronomy 31. Deuteronomy 31. Verse 17. Then my anger shall be kindled against them in that day, and I will forsake them, and I will hide my face from them. I will no longer be their God. That's what that means. And they shall be devoured, and many evils and troubles shall befall them, so that they will say in that day, Are not these evils come upon us because our God is not among us? He's turned his face from us, just like he did Saul. When he left Saul, he sent those evil spirits begin to come from him. They came from the Lord upon Saul, those evil spirits, evil angels. So it was placed in the law, if we disobeyed God, evil would come upon us. That's law. Let's get the book of Psalms 35. I'll be copying down these precepts, brothers and sisters, because it's going to help you. Psalms 35. 5. I'm just showing you. Psalms 35, verse 4. I'm going to read on down. It says, Let them be confounded and put to shame that seek after my soul. This is what David writes. Let them be turned back and brought to confusion that devise my hurt. Let them be as chaff before the wind, and let the angel of the Lord chase them. So an angel of the Lord is going to chase them. Pay attention. Let their way be dark and slippery. Yeah. And let the angel of the Lord persecute them. So, brothers and sisters, these angels, they not only chase, but they persecute. And these angels that hurt and persecute and chase are from God. You don't see the devil in any, you don't see Satan in any control of any evil spirit. You don't see that. God controls all. Now, Job chapter 1. Job 1. Now, I want to look at this real quick. Job chapter 1, verse 1. And there was a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job, and that man was perfect and upright. Perfect and upright. And one that feareth God and escheweth evil. So he was perfect and upright. So I want to look at perfect. 1 Kings 8:61. Let's look at this perfect. 1 Kings 8:61. This is Solomon writing. Let your heart therefore be perfect with the Lord our God, to walk in his statutes and to keep his commandments as at this day. So when your heart was perfect, you were keeping the law. So your heart was perfect when you kept the law. 1 Kings 15:1. Now in the 18th year of King Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, reigned Abiam over Judah. Now let's drop down. And he walked in all the sins of his father, which he had done before him. And his heart was not perfect. So when your heart was not perfect is because you were in sins. See, that's a little, I wanted you to know that. When you were in your sins, your heart was not perfect. When you were in sins, your heart was not perfect. And he walked in all the sins of his father, which he had done before him. And his heart was not perfect because he was in his sin. See, your heart's perfect when you keep the law. But when you're in sin, your heart's not perfect. Just letting you know that. With the Lord, his God, as the heart of David, his father. So when your heart was perfect, you're keeping the law. When it wasn't, you were in your sin. So I want to go take a look at upright. So we're looking at this now. We're looking at what these things mean. A lot of people they don't think of the law, but these words, Psalms 119:7, I will praise thee with uprightness of heart when I shall have learned thy righteous judgment. See, David writes, I will praise thee with uprightness when I learn the law. When I truly learn the law, I will be able to praise you upright. So upright involves the law. Law, these words. So we go back to Job 1. Job 1. Verse 1. There was a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job, and that man was perfect because he kept the law, and upright, law. One that feareth God, Ecclesiastes 12:13, keep the law, and eschewed evil. Didn't commit sin. But I want to go down here. Now, I want to just read this. Verse 6. Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came also among them. Now look at this. And the Lord said unto Satan, Whence comest thou? Then Satan answered the Lord and said, From going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it. So Satan, he's on earth, not below the ground. And the Lord said unto Satan, Hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, perfect and upright man, keep the law, one that feareth God and escheweth evil. So Job kept law. He was, yes. Watch this. Then Satan answered the Lord and said, Doth Job fear God for naught? Hast not thou made an hedge about him, and about his house, and about all that he hath on every side? Thou hast blessed the work of his hands, and his substance is increased in the land. Thou hast blessed the work of his hands. Pay attention. But put forth thine hand. See, Satan couldn't just attack Job on his own. Satan couldn't just attack Job. He says, put forth thine hand now and touch all that he hath, and he will curse thee to thy face. Wait a minute now. And the Lord said unto Satan, Behold, all that he hath is in thy power. It's the same, brothers and sisters. Satan took orders from God. There was no war. You will not find it. Satan took orders from God. Took them. Satan took orders from God. Satan did not do anything on his own. What are they talking about? War in heaven. Satan had no. God controlled both sides of the ball, good and evil angels, both of them. Even Satan, he's controlling Satan. We don't see a war. And the Lord said unto Satan, behold, all that he hath is in thy power, your power. Only upon himself put not thine hand. Look at this. Only upon himself put not forth thine hand. So Satan went out from the presence of the Lord. Now, when Satan went out from the presence of the Lord, I want to show you this. Watch this. Watch it. I'm picking up verse 14. And there came a messenger unto Job and said, the oxen were plowing and the asses feeding beside them. And the Sabeans fell upon them and took them away. Yea, they have slain the servants with the edge of the sword. And I only am escaped alone to tell thee. So when, when Satan went out from the presence of the Lord, guess what Satan did? Satan used the Sabeans to kill. Satan put his power into a nation, and Satan himself as an angel didn't come down and do anything. He went in through the Sabeans, as we said in Psalms 109 verse 6. Set thou a wicked man over him, and let Satan stand at his right hand. When Satan went out from the presence of the Lord, and the Sabeans fell upon them, he used the Sabeans. Satan's spirit went into the Sabeans, a people, and they fell upon them and took them away. Yea, they have slain the servants with the edge of the sword, and I only am escaped to tell thee. Look at this. While he was speaking, there came also another and said, the fire of God has fire. Didn't say the fire from Satan. It said the fire from God has fallen from heaven and has burned up the sheep and servants and consumed them. And I only am escaped alone to tell thee. You know why it says the fire of God? Because, brothers and sisters, anything Satan does, it was given to him by God to do. He told him to go do it. Satan didn't do it himself. Because God had protection on Job, Satan couldn't touch him. He couldn't do it unless God gave the permission. We go to Job chapter 2. Watch this. I'm just going to show you this. Job 2. Here it is. Verse 3. Just starting over. Again, they come forth. And the Lord said unto Satan. Now I start in verse 2. And the Lord said unto Satan, from whence comest thou? And Satan answered the Lord and said, from going to and fro in the earth, from walking up and down in it. And the Lord said unto Satan, hast thou considered my servant Job? Tell him again. And there is none like him in the earth, perfect and upright man, one that feareth God and escheweth evil? ? And still he holdeth fast his integrity. He holdeth fast his integrity. Oh, yes. The book of 1 Kings 9. Integrity. Let me show you where integrity comes from. 1 Kings 9. 1 Kings 9 and 4. Here's Solomon. And if thou wilt walk before me as David thy father walked, in integrity of heart and uprightness, to do all that integrity of heart and uprightness to do according to all that I have commanded thee, and will keep my statutes and my judgments. To walk in integrity and uprightness, once again, uprightness, you see, was to keep the law. Upright man kept the law, but integrity also came from keeping the law. So integrity came from keeping law. That's why we say Job was a law keeper. Integrity comes from the keeping of the law. Now, let's go back to Job 2. Job 2. Verse 3. And the Lord said unto Satan, hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and upright man? That's because he kept the law. The law caused that. One that feareth God and escheweth evil, and still holdeth fast his integrity. Although thou movest me, you, Satan, movest me against him. You move me. Without me, you can do nothing, Satan. You movest me against him. I give the orders on what you to do to Job, not you. To destroy him without cause, because he didn't do nothing. I just asked you, did you notice him? And you wanted this to happen. Watch this. And Satan answered the Lord and said, skin for skin, yea, all that a man hath he will give for his life. But put forth thine hand. See, again, Satan is saying, look, what if you give me, thine hand is me. Thine hand is me. Put forth thy hand now and touch his bone of his flesh, and he will curse thee to thy face. Here it is. And the Lord said unto Satan, behold, he is in thine hand, because you are my hand, but save his life. Brothers and sisters, where? That's why it says, let me just read the next verse. So went Satan forth from the presence of the Lord, Satan, and smote Job with sore boils from the sole of his foot unto his crown, his head. See, brothers and sisters, Satan is doing the order of God as all other devils. None of the spirits that were Satan or from Satan went against God. They did everything he ordered. Isn't that something? You can see it just like me. At what point are we going to read in the First Testament where a war happened? At what point? At what point? I'm pausing like this for a second. I was copying down something, but I'm showing you. Where can we read? There we go. Where can we read in the text? Anywhere where Satan opposed God and caused the war. All we read so far, God gives the order, the devils do it. From Satan to the other evil angels. They do what he says. God is the author of evil. He created them. Over and over. But you see, a lot of times when you go into the book of Isaiah, because they try to here it is. the book of Isaiah chapter right here it is, 14 verse 12. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, the son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which did weaken the nation? So, O Lucifer, son of the morning, thou hast fallen. But watch this. For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven, and I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. When it says into heaven, what heaven did he ascend into? Because it doggone sure wasn't the throne of God that he ascended. He could go to the throne of God anytime he wanted. He didn't have to ascend up there. He was always up there. He was always around them. He was always in the presence. We just read it in Job. He didn't have to ascend. He was already there. Which heaven did he ascend into? Let's go back to the book. See, here it is, brothers and sisters. You're going to see Leviticus 26. I want to show you the heaven. Leviticus 26. Now, God had already said this. Now, I want to go to verse 3. Now it's written. It says, if you walk in my statutes and keep my commandments and do them, I will give you rain in due season, and the land shall yield their increase, and the trees of the field shall yield their fruit. So if you keep my law, good stuff. But watch verse 9. We're going to drop down. Where I want to start. Here it is, verse 15. And if ye shall despise my statutes, or if your soul abhor my judgments, which is hate, so that ye will not do all my commandments, but ye break my covenant, I will also do this unto you. I will even appoint over you terror, consumption, and the burning of goo, or ague, that shall consume the eyes and cause sorrow of heart. And ye shall sow your seed in vain, and your enemy shall eat it. Eat it. Watch this. And I will set my face against you, and ye shall be slain before your enemies. They that hate you shall reign over you, and ye shall flee when none pursueth. And if ye will not yet for all this hearken unto me, then I will punish you 7 times more for your sins. And I will break the pride of your power, and I will make your heaven, there it is iron, and your earth is brass, your heaven. If Israel kept the commandments of God, it was heaven. It was heaven when they kept it. Heaven, 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 heaven. Deuteronomy 11. Deuteronomy 11. I'm showing y'all this heaven that so you can see it a little bit more better, or what it's talking about in Isaiah. Deuteronomy 11:18. We're going to read this real quick. Therefore ye shall lay up these my words in your heart and in your soul, and bind them for a sign upon your hand, that they may be as frontlets between your eyes. This is the law. And thou shalt write them upon the doorposts of thine house and upon thy gates, that your days may be multiplied, and the days of your children in the land in the land which the Lord sware unto your fathers to give them, as the days of heaven upon the earth. So again, you keep the law, Israel would have heaven upon earth. You keep the law, Israel would have heaven on earth. But watch this. So Israel had a heaven. If they kept the law, it was heaven upon earth. And heaven upon earth was what? For if ye shall diligently keep all these commandments which I command you to do them, to love the Lord your God, to walk in all his ways, and to cleave unto him. Watch this. Then will the Lord drive out all these nations from before you, and ye shall possess greater nations and mightier than yourselves. So Your heaven, the days of heaven upon earth, when the days of heaven was upon earth for Israel, the other nations were in slavery. Possess. And don't think it don't say the same thing in Amos 9 and 12. But we're not going to go there. We're not going to go there. I just wanted you to see that your days may be multiplied, and the days of your children in the land which the Lord sware unto your fathers to give them, as the days of heaven upon the earth. When Israel kept those laws, it would be heaven upon earth for them. That's why it says, if they broke them, let's go back to Leviticus. Leviticus 26. Leviticus 26:19 again. That's why God says, and I will break the pride of your power, and I will make your heaven. Your heaven is your kingdom. If you kept my law, you would have heaven. But if you broke them, I will make your heaven as iron and your earth as brass. You shall go from heaven to captivity. You shall go from heaven to captivity. That's why it says, brothers and sisters, in Lamentations 2 and 1. You're not going to get it. We're not the king of parables, but we can put these things together. Lamentations 2 and 1, it says, how hath the Lord covered the daughter of Zion with a cloud in his anger, and is cast down from heaven. God didn't cast no city down from heaven, but when he says cast down from heaven, he took away their power unto the earth, the beauty of Israel. See how these parables work? Because Israel sinned, the Lord cast them down from heaven. Heaven was rulership for Israel if they kept the law, unto the earth, unto the ground, unto the earth. You got to understand how heaven works. Heaven is not always talking about the third heaven with God. Heaven is rulership, power. How hath the Lord covered the daughter of Zion with a cloud of his anger, and cast down from heaven their power unto the earth, the beauty of Israel, and remembered not his footstool in the day of his anger. See, he cast Israel down from heaven. That was their power. Again, when we look at Psalms, there's so many witnesses about it. Psalms 89. Psalms 89, verse, I'm going to read a little bit. Psalms 89, verse, let's start in verse 26. Now I'm going to read on down, because this promise has been since the beginning. That's why when we go into Genesis 14, I think, when it says, verse 19, I'm not sure, when it says, Abraham, possessor of heaven and earth, we're going to go back into this. Abraham was already the possessor of heaven and earth. That means rulership over the nations. It was already promised to him. He shall cry unto me, thou art my father, my God, and the rock of my salvation. Also, I will make him my firstborn, higher than the kings of the earth. Pay attention. My mercy will I keep for him forevermore, and my covenant shall stand fast with him. His seed also will I make to endure forever, and his throne as the days of heaven. Days of heaven, like it says in Deuteronomy 11:21. So Israel, they had the heaven on earth. Heaven on earth. That's why it says when you go back to watch, when you go back to Isaiah chapter 14. See, here's another parable, verse 12. It says, how art thou fallen from heaven? See, did this Lucifer that fell from heaven fell from the third heaven or from power? This is what we're telling you, from power. How art thou have fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground? The same way Israel was thrown from heaven in Lamentations 2:1, which didst weaken the nations. It didn't say weaken the angels. It didn't say he weakened the angels. It says he weakened the nations. Nations. Thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. Whose heaven? You'll find out. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. Who are the stars? Which stars? Did you see which stars? Because as we go back to Genesis 39. Nope, Genesis 37. Watch. We also have record of the 12 tribes being stars. Watch this. This is Joseph now. And he dreamed yet another dream and told it his brethren and said, behold, I have dreamed a dream more. And behold, the sun and the moon, which is Jacob and his mother, and the 11 stars made obeisance to me. Who are those 11 stars? His brethren. He's the 12th star. His brethren, the tribes of Israel, were noted as stars. We're not going to play this game. Stars. That's why it says in Daniel 8. You guys pay attention to this. Daniel 8. Verse 10. And it waxed great. It waxed great was king of Grecia, even to the hosts of heaven. It cast down some of the hosts and of the stars to the ground. What hosts and stars did he cast to the ground? Again, brother, so some just did the he-goat reach up into the heaven and grab a big old ball of gas down and throw it to the ground? No, the stars, the hosts and stars that he cast down to the ground was the priests and Levites of Israel. Israel was noted as the stars. They try to make you think that the stars are the angels. No, the stars are Israel. You're seeing it here. It waxed great, the king of Grecia, even to the hosts of heaven. And it cast down some of the hosts and the stars to the ground. It was the king of Grecia. The stars he cast to the ground was the tribes. This is the parable. And stamped upon them. We're letting you know who the stars are. The stars, they want you to think that the stars are the angels. No. The stars were the tribes. That's who, when he says, and cast down some of the hosts and stars to the ground, he cast them down to the ground with war and pestilence and famine and stamped upon them. So when you look up, pay attention. Isaiah. We're going to go over all that verse. Isaiah 14. In verse 13 again. And thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. Whose heaven? Israel's heaven. They are the ones with the heaven. They're possessors of the heaven. And I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. Who are those stars? Israelite. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation. What congregation? Who is the congregation of the Lord? The book of 1 Samuel. Who is the congregation of the Lord? 1 Samuel 28. 1 Samuel 28, verse 8. No. Wow. What am I doing? 1 Chronicles. Whoa. What made me type in 1 Samuel, brothers and sisters? You make the mistake. 1 Chronicles 28 and 8. Now, therefore, in the sight of all Israel, the congregation of the Lord. So the congregation is Israel. Now, therefore, in the sight of all Israel, the congregation of the Lord, and in the audience of our God, keep and seek for all the commandments of the Lord your God, that ye may possess the good land and leave it for an inheritance for your children after you forever. But the congregation of the Lord was Israel. Now let's go back. Isaiah chapter 14, verse 13. For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. Those stars were the tribes of Israel. I will sit upon the mount of the congregation, which was Israel, in the sides of the north. What is the sides of the north? The book of Isaiah. We're going to show you the sides of the north. The book of Psalms. The book of Psalms chapter 48. We're going to show you the sides of the north. What was the sides of the north? Somebody got to show you these things. Psalms 48, verse 1. It says, great is the Lord, and greatly to be praised in the city of our God, and the mountain of his holiness. Beautiful for situation. The joy of the whole earth is Mount Zion, on the sides of the north, the city of the great king. So the sides of the north was Zion. The sides of the north was Zion, in Zion. So when we go back to Isaiah, you gotta research it. Isaiah 14, verse 13. For thou hast said in thy heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God, the tribes. I will sit upon the mount of the congregation, which was Israel, and the sides of the north, which was the mountain of Jerusalem. None of this, he's not talking about going up in the third heaven where God at and sitting up among the stars of his angels and the congregation. No, you got to know what this means. When it says above the stars, it's talking about Israel. The mount of the congregation, which was Israel, on the sides of the north, which was in Zion. We're reading it. This isn't talking about taking over God's throne. This is talking about taking over Israel, the wicked, Babylon, Edom. None of this is talking about going up in the third heaven and taking over. No. You read it with me what it was. Israel was possessor of heaven on earth. That's the throne he put up. He put his throne over Israel. Now, that's why it says, I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High God. Now, you can tell when he went above the clouds, how? By plane. See, it's showing you how he does it. Yet ye shall be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. We're going to go over this. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man? Because it was a man he was talking about. It was a man. It was not talking about an angel. It was a man. The son of the morning was a man, the wicked, that made the earth to tremble and did shake kingdoms. This is what we're saying. They tried to make it look like, oh, Satan wanted to take over. No, it was talking about them, Babylon, all along, the daughter of Babylon. So when we go back to Revelation, you're going to see Revelation 12, verse 1. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon. Now we read about that in Genesis 37:9, sun and the moon, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. Those 12 stars were the 12 tribes. That's why it says, and she being with child cried, travaileth in birth, and pain to be delivered. And there appeared another wonder in heaven. The heaven is not talking about the third where God is. The heaven is where who at? You're going to pay attention. Pay attention. Behold, a great red dragon having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns upon his head. And his tail drew the third parts of the stars of heaven. What stars of heaven? The tribes. Remember, the heaven is talking about. The heaven, Abraham from times of old was already promised heaven and earth as possessor. God told Israel that if you kept my law, you would, look, if you kept my law, Deuteronomy 11, verse 21, that your days may be multiplied, and the days of your children, in the land which the Lord sware unto your fathers to give them. Your fathers. Who is the fathers? Abraham. As the days of heaven upon earth. You keep my law, that's your heaven. Christians don't read this. But if we broke the law, if we broke his law, back to the book of Leviticus chapter 26. Watch now. Leviticus 26 and verse 19. Leviticus 26:19. And I will break the pride of your power, and I will make your heaven, which was your power, as iron, and your earth as brass. So if we don't keep the law, he's going to break the power, and the heaven that we were promised will become torment and slavery. So Israel had the heaven. That's why once again it says in Lamentations, when Babylon came to take us over, Lamentations 2:1, I have the Lord covered the daughter of Zion with the cloud of his anger, or in his anger, and cast down from heaven unto the earth the beauty of Israel, and remember not his footstool in the day of his anger. Heaven. See, God, Israel, because of their sins, they were cast down from heaven. Now, if he cast Israel down out of heaven, rulership, then somebody else has got to go up. That's what you're reading in Isaiah 14. You got to understand the parable. So when we go back to Revelation, chapter 12 and verse 3. And there appeared another wonder in heaven. Behold, a great red dragon, Esau, having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns upon his head. And his tail, which is his army, drew a third part of the stars of heaven. Those stars were Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. And did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, to devour her child as soon as it was born. So during the time Rome cast down the southern tribes and took them over, and when it says the dragon stood before the woman which was ready to be delivered for to devour her child as soon as he was born, that is when Herod tried to kill Christ. They have you believe that the drew the third part of the stars. We're talking about he drew the third part of the angels. No, those stars were the tribes, and he defeated the tribes in war and tried to kill Christ. That's the child. And we're going to prove it to you in the next verse. And she brought forth a man child who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. And her child was caught up unto God and to his throne. Acts 1:9. We already know who it is. The red dragon is Rome. So when it comes down, so if you know it's Rome, when we get to verse 7, and there was war in heaven. Which heaven? It wasn't the third. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought against his angels. The dragon is Esau, and his angels are his armies. John is writing this in a similitude. These, brothers and sisters, are the secrets of parables. There was no battle nowhere in the Bible with God and angels, because God controlled them all the time, no matter what. He controlled angels, good or evil. There was never a war. This war that's being mentioned is between Esau and Michael the archangel. And this is what the Caucasian, the red devil, is trying to hide. He's trying to make you think, oh, that the war happened in heaven between it. No, he was the one that Michael fought against with his army. That's why it says, and prevail not, neither was their place found any more in heaven. The heaven was his rulership, because if Israel kept the law, they would have heaven upon earth. If they didn't, the other nations would have heaven upon earth. You got to understand, if Israel broke his law, other nations would have heaven upon earth. They want you to think that this heaven is talking about up there where God sits on his throne. No, this heaven is talking about rulership. That's why it says, and the great dragon was Esau, was cast out, the old serpent called the devil and Satan. He's the one that's called the devil and Satan, because the Bible says in Psalms 109 verse 6, set thou a wicked man. Esau's the wicked, and says Satan by his right hand. See, y'all think a spirit is doing all this. Woo. No, the spirit controls a people to do all this. God sends the spirit upon a people, and it was the white man he sent it on. He deceived the whole world. He was cast into the earth. The earth means into slavery. He's down at the earth level now. And his angels were cast out with him. His armies were cast out with him. There is no verse, and that's why it says, when you look at this, and I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now is come salvation and strength, the kingdom of our God and the power of his Christ. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our God day and night. Who does that? Esau. He is the accuser day and night through the spirit of evil. Through the spirit of evil. Brothers and sisters, 1/3 of the angels being kicked out of heaven, along with Satan, is a fallacy. He's trying to hide himself. Esau is trying to hide himself. He's trying to take himself out of judgment. And he used that fictitious doctrine of 1/3 of the angels being kept. No, the 1/3 that was smitten with the tail was the 3 tribes of Israel: Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, because the tribes were the stars, not angels. They really don't want you to know, because they know you. It's once you learn it. That war in heaven with Satan and God, no, there was never a war between angels and God, but there was a war. There was a war between the dragon, which was Esau, and his armies, which John noted as angels. Paraphrasing, well, let me take that back. Putting things in similitude, in parables. Because John them, they didn't have to write it this way, but they did, because in case Rome confiscated this letter from those that traveled to the churches, somebody had to deliver these letters to the churches. And if Rome confiscates this letter, John could be in big trouble. That's why he wrote it in parable form. There was no such thing as a war in heaven. You got to read these things right. There was no time in the Bible where angels went against their creator. No, it's just another way Esau could try to make it look like it's not him that God is going to destroy. And with that, brothers and sisters, all praises to the Most High, and may God be with you. May God be with you. All praises.